Hello everyone and welcome to the pregame for the Peach Belt quarterfinals matchup between Columbus State University and the Augusta Jaguars. Now, since we last left you off on the Jaguars broadcast, my have the winds of change changed dramatically.
This Jaguar team's playing outstanding.
Absolutely. They're on a 10 they're crushing it on a 10-game winning streak. They took down at that time #1 Aiken, and then they also who eventually lost to Young Harris to drop them down in the standings. Augusta shoots into tonight's ball game ranked #1 in the Peach Belt Conference. Now, Columbus State also, they did give some Jags trouble in their matchup here at home, which Augusta University took by a score of 87-68. But that final score was not predicated on how both teams played in that game. So it is going to be a phenomenal matchup in the opening round of the Peach Belt Conference. And Roberts, I want to get your opening thoughts as we move forward here.
Well, last year the Jaguars hosted the 4-5 matchup in this very round in the quarterfinals against the rival USC Aiken right across the border. A week after beating the Pacers here at the Chris to secure that 4th spot and get home court advantage in that game. It did not go their way, however. It was basically a blowout right from the start. Jaguars looking for a better result this time, and I think they're in a perfect position to do that. Regular season champion, what a great season. And you knew this team would have a great season when they defeated South Carolina, a Division I team that was in the Final Four 2 years ago in an exhibition game. Let's be real. And they have not disappointed, and what an outstanding season. And they had an uphill battle to catch USC Aiken this year for the 1 spot and get the regular season title this year. And just like last year, how they had to catch them for the 4th spot. So similar situation this year. They're a little higher up this year, though, compared to last year. So we'll see how this tournament goes and look forward to tonight's game. It's going to be outstanding. Yeah,
you were talking about that USC Aiken matchup. The Jags actually went toe-to-toe with Aiken on the 27th and steamrolled them 94-75 against then a #1 ranked in the Peach Belt Conference Pacer team. Then they went to Lander and took over that game and were victorious by 20. That's how the Jags set up coming into today's ball game with 2 games of their 10-game winning streak intact and on lock. Now, you also look at how these two teams have played in the regular season in a head-to-head matchup. The first matchup at Columbus State was a little bit closer. Augusta was still trying to get their bearings about them a little bit, and it was a closer game. The Jags only took control of that game and won by a score of 65-52. Then in their second toe-to-toe matchup, when they collided, it was a little bit of a different outcome in terms of the margin of victory, as Augusta squared that one up 87-68. So Columbus State is coming into this contest with a little bit of revenge on their mind here.
Well, revenge for Columbus State will be tough against this Jaguar team that is on an absolute roll, on a winning streak that they are finishing strong, regular season conference champion and winning the tiebreaker with Aiken. And let's not forget about that 94-75 victory across the border just last week. The Jaguars fell behind 10-0 right at the start, and it was looking like, oh no, here we go again. Remind us all of last year's conference tournament matchup, and then the Jaguars flat out caught fire after that and ended up winning by 19 in an outstanding game. So this is a tough Jaguar team to beat.
Yeah, and these two records coming in, Augusta 23-5, 19-3 in the Peach Belt Conference. Columbus State just falls a little bit short of that at a record of 13-15, and looks like 6 games below 500 in the Peach Belt. 8-14 on their Peach Belt Conference record. I am Blake Collins. This is Robert Ambrose. We will be back in a flash with the scores and the potential matchups for this opening round of the Peach Belt Conference, as well as maybe a little bit of keys to the game as well when we venture back on the flip side. Keeping it locked and loaded right here on the pregame for the matchup between Augusta University and the Columbus State University as well. Now, as we mentioned beforehand, this is an opening round of the Peach Belt Tournament and the quarterfinals for the championship. Now, with that it being said, the rest of the field for the quarterfinals stacks up like this. Francis Marion will go toe-to-toe with Young Harris. That game will also tip off at 7 p.m. Our game here, Columbus State and Augusta University, tips off at 7. The 7:30 matchup will pit two teams against each other that are fourth and fifth in the conference, as Georgia College collides with UNC Pembroke. And then the 7:30 matchup as the final quarterfinal matchup for the men's side of the bracket will include Lander shooting hoops against the USC-Aiken Pacers.
Well, Blake, it should be just outstanding games. Of course, Blake will keep you posted on all the score updates throughout the day. So the UNC Pembroke winner between UNC Pembroke and Georgia College will play the winner of this game here at the Chris.
Right.
That game will be Saturday, as will all the other semifinals, and we'll especially keep an eye on that game for you as well. And it should be an outstanding night of Peach Belt Conference basketball all throughout the conference in both the men's and the women's sides.
Now, that was the men's side. Let's get you caught up on a little bit of the women's action in the Peach Belt Conference college hoop scenario. Francis Marion fell short against Lander 35-63, so Lander migrates on further. Then you had USC-Aiken took the downfall against Clayton State with a 32-47 discrepancy in the score, so Clayton State maneuvers its way to the next round. Georgia College and North Georgia on the women's side are just tipping off in they have, in the women's game, 10 minutes per each period. So they will play 4 periods, and they are just getting underway. And then tipping off at 7 o'clock will be Columbus State. The women of Columbus State will be in a nail-biter against Flagler.
Well, that's going to be outstanding as well. If the Jaguars win tonight, they will host all the remaining tournament games over the weekend for both the men's and women's. Blake will get more into that a little bit later on in the pregame show, however, but that's another thing at stake for here tonight, and we can't wait.
Oh, absolutely. And you're looking at, especially for the semis and championship games, it looks like both championship games will be played on Sunday, and we'll see how the semifinals shape out. It looks like on Saturday from the men's perspective, and that will look like it'll be the same for the women. But with that being said, we will take a short break, and on the flip side, we will converse about the keys to this game for both teams. we welcome your smiling ears and eyes back into the broadcast. When, as Augusta and Columbus State rather, collide here in the opening of the quarterfinal for the Peach Belt Conference Championships. Now, you look at both teams, Columbus State and Augusta University. Augusta University prevailed victorious in both of those games, Robert, but you also look at how they did it. The first game was much closer than the second affair between these two squads in the regular season.
Well, what that tells you is that Columbus State learned a little something from the first game, and they might do the same thing for the second game, and it might get a little tougher here for the Jags. Nevertheless, the Jags are on such a roll right now, it's going to be pretty tough to stop them from what I've seen lately.
Yeah, the first game within of itself took place on January the 12th. Augusta edged that one out 65-52. Then these two squads met here at Christenberry Fieldhouse on February the 9th. Augusta collided with Columbus State and garnered a victory 87-68. So that leads us into tonight's affair in the opening round of the Peach Belt Conference Championship. And so, Robert, if you're looking at these two teams, give me some keys for Augusta.
Jaguars, whenever you're in a situation you need a basket, get the ball in the hands of Dean Williams. He is an outstanding basketball player. He's also a senior, playing in his final game or his final few games, depending on the way things go, here at the Christenberry Fieldhouse. Nevertheless, he's the guy you wanted to get going for the Jaguars. If you're Columbus State, you want to find a way to stop him if you can, but he is a outstanding athlete, great basketball player, and he can get the ball and he can get things going for the Jags. That can create wonderful things.
Yeah, and you cannot forget about the lethal sharpshooting ability of a couple of their younger guys like Tyree. Tyree Myers has very good range. He is combustible when clutch threes come into play. He can knock those down with the best of them. So can Miguel as well. Now, Miguel has come up with phenomenal threes in clutch games for key victories for the Jags. Now, Miguel Arnold is also a freshman along with Tyree, but if they can have Dean on the offensive side up creating shots and making clutch shots as well, but those two convert on high octane shots, the Jags will be in good position. Now, you cannot forget about Tyvez Monroe too.
Well, he's another outstanding of the Jaguars seniors, and one of the great things about this Jaguars team is they're a very experienced team led by the seniors in Williams, Aaron Bird, and Tyvez Monroe. They also are a young team and several freshmen that have saw key minutes this season and been key contributors as well. So it shows you that they'll probably be able to step up and reload well when the seniors graduate next year. So a promising future for this team. Nonetheless, can't look too far ahead. Got to focus on tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned some of those freshmen. Darren Lucas White has been phenomenal, as well as Robert Barlin, a center / a forward for Augusta, has had key moments and critical possessions and critical shots for Augusta as well. Not only that, Miguel Arnold, as we mentioned, and Tyree Myers coming to the forefront as well. It's just some of the prominent freshmen that we're talking about. So Augusta's looking good to come for years in the making here, but Columbus State, with them being 2 games below 500 and 6 below 500 in the Peach Belt Conference, with a 13-15 record and an 8-14 in the Peach Belt Conference. For them, Robert, I would think you would want to try to isolate Dean out of the equation the best you can, and also be able to, if you collapse on the interior, be able to respond and recuperate very well to critical passes to the perimeter to be able to guard open shots if they're present for Augusta. So on defense, that's definitely an area that they can expose and try to throw Augusta off their game. And not only that, but against this Augusta team, accuracy is key with a lot of their shot selections, and the more high percentage shots you take here, the better off you're going to be.
Well, the better, yeah, like, you know, that's going to help your chances the best way when you give yourself the best chance in that sense. And it's a matter of being able to get open and get the ball into the hands of the right people in that sense.
You might see a lot of pump fakes here to try to get Augusta, who has an aggressive defense, off center here to try to create more shots off a second chance. And a key element as well is we talked about Dean Williams. Rebounding for Columbus State. Augusta has a very good down-low presence with not only Dean, but another solid contributor who has been silent as far as credit goes. If you talk to head coach Dip Williams, he hasn't, but to Rafael Montero has been phenomenal all the way through the season for the Jags. The juniors has come from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Utah State's University Eastern. He's out of Sao Paulo, Brazil, and he has come to Augusta and impacted this roster and their game tremendously for the better. And if you are Columbus State, there is numerous factors that you've got that you want to isolate and guard against. But at the same time, Robert, what can Columbus State do offensively to get their game on lock and key in hopes of stealing a victory here?
Well, offensively, I mentioned this earlier on, just a moment ago. Just try to get open and get the ball in the hands of the right people, away from those specific defenders that you mentioned, Blake. And that's the best way for them to get the high percentage shot chance that they need to get. That's how they have to do that, like you mentioned.
And not only that, but also too, I think Columbus State's bench will come up huge too, in a way that may surprise Augusta University here. And if their bench players can continue to get hot, then we may see an upset here. But everything has got to go right for Columbus State, as they are facing a mountain here in the #1 Peach Belt Conference team in Augusta University. And strategy-wise here, Robert, from the head coach's perspectives, what type of strategy would you like to see implemented here?
Well, you'll probably see defensively a combination of and mixing and matching of zone and man-to-man. It's hard to say the exact pattern on alternating, of course. If you fall in a deep hole, you'll see more man-to-man to try to make a comeback. The zone's makes it harder to come back from a deficit. And offensively, you'll see the Jaguars move the ball very well. On offense, you'll see a lot of that. They're going to get it inside a lot with Dean Williams. And I think you'll see the Jaguars go inside a lot more than just rushing and taking a quick three.
Absolutely. So now my question to you is, if you are Columbus State, would you even consider implementing a full court press?
Yes. I think it's important. Obviously, you got to be able to not let them attack the press. Otherwise, you're in trouble. But I think it's important to put pressure offensively to make it harder for them to set up, if you can do that. And obviously, if you fall behind, you're going to want to, like I said, you'll see more man-to-man. You'll also want to see you want to do a full court press in that situation. And the Jaguars are a team that can go on a big lead quickly, because they can go on runs. We've seen that happen.
Oh, absolutely they can. It is going to be a phenomenal game with only about 5 minutes to go. Stay tuned as we bring you the opening round contest between Columbus State and the Augusta Jaguars. I'm Blake Collins. He's Robert Ambrose. That will do it for the pregame show. Stay tuned because the opening round matchup will be shortly after this.
And welcome to Christenberry Fieldhouse on the campus of Augusta University as we get set for Peach Belt Conference Tournament basketball. Along with Blake Collins and Robert Ambrose, I'm John Patrick. As Robert and Blake set up in the pregame, we get set for our quarterfinal game for tonight between the Augusta Jaguars, the #1 seed in the Peach Belt Conference, and Columbus State. They come in as the 8th seed. Record of 13-15, 8-14 in the Peach Belt Conference. Jags coming into this ball game with a record overall of 23-5, 19-3 in the Peach Belt Conference. Riding a 10-game winning streak, they are second in the region and 24th in the nation as the Peach Belt Conference gets underway. The meaning of this ball game and the way the Peach Belt is working the conference tournament, with the Jags being the #1 seed, they play at home tonight, as do the top 4 seeds in the tournament. The remaining highest seed after tonight will host the rest of the Peach Belt Conference tournament. Should that be the Jaguars, will be at Christenberry Fieldhouse. 4 games Saturday and 2 games on Sunday. We'll have the women's semifinals, the men's semifinals, and then the women's finals and finals. But before we get to all of that, we get through this evening. We are going to pause for our national anthem. We'll be back with our starting lineups as the Jags take on Columbus State. Okay, let's go through our starting lineups for this evening's ball game. First of all, for the Cougars from Columbus State, again coming into this ball game with a record overall of 13-15. They were 8-14 in the conference. Starting at guard, a 6-foot, 180-pound junior from
Yeah, Robert, we talked a little bit about Dean's presence inside. There are times when he has so much agility driving into the lane that John, the only thing
All right, 11:31 to go in the first half. It is a Peach Belt Conference Tournament quarterfinal game. The Jags and the Cougars from Columbus.
into the perimeter and then to the interior to capitalize, not on points, but a trip to the line.
Here's our third media timeout. 7:23 to go. Jags up 23-21. All right, back at Christenberry Fieldhouse, Peach Belt Conference quarterfinal game. Jags up 23-21. Cougars shooting 47% from the field. The Jags, 60%. Cougars 43% from behind the arc. The Jags, 60%. Cougars 2 of 2.
Check.
All right, welcome back to Christenberry Fieldhouse on the campus of Augusta University. As we are at halftime of our game, our Peach Belt quarterfinal game, the Jags up 36-32. The 13 of 28 from the field for 46%. You know what? The Jags were 13 of 28 from the field for 46%. There's 4 of 12 from behind the arc for 33%. Jags 5 of 9 for 56%. Cougars made both their free throws. Jags made 5 of their 11. Jalen Thomas leads the Cougars with 8. So does DeMarcus McVeigh has 8. Dean Williams with 10 for the Jags. Raphael has 7. As we get into the second half now.
Okay, before this gets underway, second half in the Francis Marion Young Harris game, Francis Marion is in a tight nail biter right now, gunning into the second half. 18:41 to go, 45-43. Francis Marion is on top. Secondly, you know this score, 36-32 Augusta. Georgia College and the Braves have yet to get underway, and USC Aiken is 13 points ahead of Lander, 27-14 in the first half. They just started that with 11:37 to go.
Little turnaround by Bryant Gibbons is good. And the Cougars draw first blood here in the second half. They're now within 2. Jags with the ball. Tyree, Raphael, Miguel, Tyvez, and there's Dean, the starting 5. Dean backs his man up. Falls into the lane, throws the left-handed baby hook in for 2. He's got 12. Jags back up 4. Thomas with the basketball, Island at midcourt. Tyree tries breaking that up. Bats it out of bounds. It will stay Cougar basketball with 16 seconds left on the shot clock.
So now you'll have to reset your offense within a 6 to 7 second span here, as you would usually have about 20 seconds to set everything up.
Got 6 on the shot clock. Jags. Ball is batted away as Paulding tried to get it to Horton. Now they've got it with 2 seconds left on the shot clock.
So it's a catch and shoot scenario. Great play by Tyree there.
Turnaround shot does not fall for Jalen Thomas, but the Cougars get the rebound. Jalen gets it back to Bryant and then back to Jalen.
It's evident they're wanting to work it to the interior, whether it be driving or just assisting into the interior to get a better shot percentage, but Augusta's not allowing them to.
Givens for the left side 3, hits the front of the rim, no good. Dean pulls down the rebound. Here come the Jags. Dean again for the 3. Sure. That's 3 threes for Dean. And that's 15 points on the night.
Displaying his whole arsenal to the Cougars. When he enacts those 3 points like that, he is on fire.
Right side, 2, not 3. That was 2.
And it goes back to the question we asked earlier, John, is you come preparing for Dean for his interior work, his defense, and his mid to close interior range offense. How do you prepare for him when he's got his 3 from three-point land working?
Foul away from the ball. I think you let him shoot it. I mean, he's making them, but you got to let him shoot it.
Yeah, absolutely. And pray that he doesn't make them. And then be a Hawkeye when it comes to those defensive rebounds.
Third foul on DeMarcus McVeigh. First foul of the second half on the Cougars. Tyree with a hand in his face, shoots the 3, no good. Jags with a new shot clock as Dean pulls that down. Here he goes. Works his way in. Little soft shot, doesn't fall. Cougars pull down that rebound and push it up the court. And really do push it up the court. And that falls.
Jags had traffic underneath with Tyree, Miguel, and quite possibly Dean under there. But the quickness there and the explosion driving through the lane is what created the open shot for the Cougars. And with a simple layup, they create 2 points off of it.
Into Raphael, who goes baseline under the basket and travels.
Not what you want to see, only 3 points ahead of the number 8 ranked Columbus Cougars right now if you're the Jags. Another mental mistake that if you're a Jags fan, you hope to come back to haunt you here, but you want to tighten those up the later we get on into this ball game.
Troy Cracknell back in the game for Tybez. Turnaround for Taylor is no good. Dean pulls down that rebound. All right, Jags up 3. Here he goes, up, drives in, throws it up. Doesn't get the basket, but does draw the foul. He will go to the line. We're going to have our media timeout. Here's our first one of the second half. 15:59 to go in the ball game. Jags up 3. right, back at Christenberry Fieldhouse. Robert Ambrose, Blake Collins. I'm John Patrick. 15:59 go in our ball game. A Peach Belt Conference Tournament Quarterfinal. The Jags, regular season champions, ranked second in the region, 24th in the country, up against the Cougars from Columbus State, who finished 8th in the conference. Dean's going to go to the line, shooting a pair. He's got 15 on the evening. 9 of those coming from behind the arc.
He's been working on his free throws.
Okay, well, work harder. That was short.
For a pretty good while now. That one just comes up a little bit short, but that was huge because that could have quite possibly put the Jags up to a 2-possession ball game.
That one he makes.
So now it's still a 1-possession ball game if you include a and one off of a 3-point play, but it normally is a 2-possession ball game right now with a 4-point lead.
Miguel's out, Aaron is in. Gibbons with the basketball. Drives down the lane, puts up the shot. Doesn't get it, but does draw the foul. And he will go to the line. Tyree picks up his first foul, and that's the first foul of the half, but it does send Bryant Gibbons to the line. Bryant's got 4 on the night. Makes the first one.
And they continue to be a sharpshooter from the charity stripe as they're still 100%. With that one, 3 out of 3.
All right, makes them both, and the Cougars are back to within 2. Cougars keep hanging around. Aaron with the basketball right side. Troy now swings it left. Tyree tries dishing off and score 2 left-handed for Raphael. 9 points for Raphael. Driving down the lane, we're going to have a foul. And Gibbons is going to go back to the line. This foul was on Tyree, and that's his team second. And Bryant will go back to the line. Gibbons will have 2 more. That's short.
Just put it a little to the right there, coming out of his hand. You could see it kind of tailing over to the right. Just could never recover on the rim to sink it in.
DeMarcus McVeigh in for the, and they missed both those free throws. First 2 they've missed tonight. All right, Tyree with the basketball now, and the Jags have a 4-point lead. Under 10 on the shot clock now. Tyree swings it right. They go inside to Dean. Dean swings it back out quickly. Tyree for 3. Good. And just like that, the Jags are up 7.
Yeah, when he's able to spot threes like that, see it into the hoop from his advantage point, know the shot he can throw it off at, he is phenomenal when it comes to those type of shots, and he just sinks that one right in.
All right, Jalen Thomas with the basketball. Going to be fouled. That will be Aaron's second foul. That'll be the 3rd foul on the Jags.
Yeah, just a little too much body contact there, almost like he hip checked the shoulder there as they were starting to turn to drive.
Tyree sits, and Darren Lucas White comes in. Ball is stolen away by Raphael and lays it up for 2 more. And now that means Coach Moore wants a timeout. 14-16 to go in the ball game. The Jags have opened up a 9-point lead. All right, 14-16 to go in the ball game. The Jags have opened up a 9-point lead on the Cougars. It's a Peach Belt Conference quarterfinal game. The semis will be played here Saturday, and the finals is on Sunday if the Jags win.
It looks like Young Harris could be coming here very soon, as they are toppling right now Francis Marion 64 to 57 rather.
Ball thrown out of bounds, turnover for the Cougars.
And they've got about 12 minutes to go in that game.
Paulding is back in for the Cougars. Aaron gets it over to Raphael. Raphael goes into the lane, puts a shoulder down, lets the shot roll in.
That was a phenomenal job from Raphael, letting his body use the body of his defender to create the space of the shot up.
Back down the court, followed up, no good. Troy gets it out. Aaron, right side three, no. Raphael tries getting that rebound, he could not, and the Cougars push it up the court now. Jags up with an 11-point lead, their biggest of the night.
Columbus State has done a really good job of being able to box out a lot of the Jags' offense and defense when it comes to rebounds.
Fouls on Troy, his second, team's fourth. Gibbons with the basketball. Top of the key, right around the free throw line, no good. 3 Jags around the ball for the rebound. They get it to Darren. Aaron tries going baseline, puts a shoulder down, commits the charging foul. That'll be Aaron's 3rd foul. That will take him out of the ball game. He just immediately goes to the bench. Miguel comes in, and Robert Barlin comes in as Raphael will sit.
Miguel has been rather quiet tonight, and then Barlin's getting very good crucial minutes here in tonight's playoff ball game.
Gibbons for 3, no good. Paul pulls down that rebound. And going to have a foul on Robert. That'll be Robert's first foul. That'll be the 6th one on the Jags. One more, and the Cougars will be in the bonus for the rest of the game.
That's the downside of playing aggressive defense. When you're that aggressive and not disciplined on where you're going, where you are, in the anticipation on trying to get steals and convert turnovers, that's where it puts you. You're back against on the foul department.
McVeigh's shot is no good. Darren goes up to get that rebound. And to Dean. Dean backs his man up. Puts up the shot. Yes! And draws the foul.
Dean Williams is a phenomenal force to be reckoned with. We mentioned earlier, 3 3-pointers, and then not only paralyzes him with the 3-pointers, he goes toe-to-toe in the interior and garners 2 points right there.
Here's our second media timeout. 11:47 to go. Jags up 13. All right, Dean's at the line now. 18 points on the night for Dean. Jags have their biggest lead of the night at 13. Dean makes that free throw and goes and takes a seat. Raphael will check back in for Dean. All right, Cougars cross midcourt. Thomas with the basketball now. Gets it over to Horton. Inside to Paul. Back out. Drives down the lane. Gets fouled. Misses the shot, but will go to the line. That's going to be on Darren. And that'll be his second. So Bryant's at the line. Givens with 6 on the night. Makes the first. Horton is back in. Chris Horton back in for the Cougars. And he makes them both. Darren crosses midcourt with the basketball, gets it over to Robert, left side. Raphael now top of the key, swings it right. Inside to Raphael, left all alone, 2.
Phenomenal job right there by Raphael, squeezing underneath the defense there, concentrating on the offense instead of the guy trekking into the interior, and that's where the Jags capitalized.
Darren dishes off to again Robert Berlin, and the Jags begin to pull away. Now up 16 with 10 to go in the ball game.
Robert obtaining crucial minutes in tonight's ball game. He's becoming more confident. You can feel it oozing out of him.
McKay's shot from the top of the key is no good. Paulding pulls it back down and scores the 2, and the Cougars want a timeout. 10:25 to go in the ball game. Jags up 58-44. Jags with the basketball now.
We mentioned Francis Marion and Young Harris in a nail biter as that 3 was knocked down right there by Darren. That game is now deadlocked at 72. So a really good game going on at Francis Marion.
Cougars have 10 on the shot clock. Paulding swings it to Horton. Horton from the left side for 3 is good.
Still no word yet on Georgia College and the Braves. Also, USC Aiken is up by 6, 48-42 against Lander.
Miguel drives down the lane, dishes off, and score the basket for Raphael, and he's fouled.
phenomenal concentration on the interior there. Raphael off the spin with the soft floater coming up, with the contact being drawn and a hand in his face, able to get it up enough to where it rattle around the rim and fall through. Great concentration on the shot. Now let's see if he can convert the three off of the charity stripe here.
Raphael for the free throw. And it's good. Jags up now 17, 4:47. Davis picks up his ball. Going to be a foul on the Jags. It's going to be on Robert. It's Robert's second. It will send the Cougars to the line. Jesse DeLoach will go to the line.
Robert's hanging step for step and nail for nail with Jesse here. Although he's going to the line, that was not easy to try to get around Robert at all.
DeLoach makes the first. Misses the second. Look at this, Raphael. Ooh, that's wide right, and he gets hit in the face and goes down. Gibbs trying to figure out how that's not a foul.
Thank goodness he looks to be okay. Maybe they thought that wasn't blatant as it came off the back end of the play. But still, you got to wonder why it wasn't called.
Shot by Gibbons is too hard, and Raphael pulls down that rebound. Darren with the basketball, drives in the lane, lays it off the glass, no good, and draws the foul. This is on Jesse DeLoach, his second, and Jags will go to the line. First one falls just about all the way down and comes back out. Tyvez and Aaron and Dean check back in for the Jags.
Looks to vary it up with 3 Jags into the ball game now.
That one falls, and Darren will check out, and Tyree will check back in.
So almost a variation of 4 out of the 5. Have Raphael still in, but fresh legs for the Jags almost all the way throughout.
Up 17. Gibbons is off into the lane. Shot's no good. Follow up. I think DeLoach was looking for a foul, and Jags thought DeLoach was the last to touch it, but it will be Cougars basketball.
It was between DeLoach and Aaron, and the rest saw it from Aaron's perspective as the last one to take it out.
Inside to McVeigh, who scores the 2. Aaron tries driving in the lane, has it batted away and stolen by the Cougars. Oh, what a pretty basket by Brian Gibbons. We'll count it. And foul was on Dean. That's his first. Before Gibbons shoots, we've got our media timeout. 7:36 to go in the game. Jags up 65-52. 58%. Dean Williams leads everybody with 18 points. Raphael's got 13. Tyree has 7. Troy's got 5. DeMarcus McVeigh leads the Cougars with 10 points. And Brian Gibbons will try to convert the three-point play and basket.
Yeah, not only that, but he was in major traffic when he put the shot up, too.
Free throw does not fall. Tyvez pulls down the rebound.
They have not missed many of those. This one that they miss is a darn near crucial free throw. So to put them down by 12 instead, they're down by 13.
Dean takes the 12-footer, and now he's got 20. Down lane, the dish off, and the foul on the Jags. McVeigh's going to line.
Horton there, absolutely splendid vision though, driving down the lane, realizing he could get a better shot off, pushing it off. It didn't work out in their favor, but they have an opportunity to create 2 points less.
First foul on Tyvez, first free throw short. By the way, the Cougars are now in the double bonus for the rest of the ball game. Makes the second one. Raphael sets the pick. Tyree dishes inside quickly to Raphael. 2 more.
Vision all the way around. Noticing Raphael down low, then a quick turnaround there. And all he had to do was beat one man to the punch and kiss it off the glass.
Ball's batted away. Jags steal it.
Anticipation and aggressive defense will do that for you.
Dean really wanted to take the 3. Miguel will, yes.
You already have one on fire. Why not have a helping hand and make a couple more on fire from three-point range?
Jags with their biggest lead of the game at 19. We've got 6 to go in the ball game.
There's enough threes to go around for the Jags right now.
Shot by Gibbons is no good. Dean pulls down that rebound. Here we go again. Yes. Timeout. Coach Woods is like, nope. As Miguel goes back on the threes.
One more thing, lightning in a bottle has just struck Christenberry Fieldhouse. Miguel is starting to heat up, and Dean is already on fire.
Jags up 22. Cougars will inbound as they find themselves now down 22 points. With a victory, the Jags will host the rest of the Peach Belt Conference Tournament. 4 games on Saturday. First 2 women's semifinal games, and then the men will play their semifinal games in the evening with the championship games on Sunday. Thomas's shot from the top of the key falls. Whistle away from the ball. Foul on the Cougars. Fouls on Bryant Givens. His third foul. Jags will inbound. Just the 6th team foul on the Cougars. And Tyvez for 3. Nope.
Just a little bit short.
Givens drives all the way in, dishes off. 2 more for McVeigh.
Horton is killing it with his vision, faking like he's going to take shots, going up, and then dishing it out at the last second to create better opportunity shots and more percentage point shots at a better, higher rate. So he's doing a really good job.
Inside to Dean, who gets it back out. And Miguel for 3. Sure.
Also, one more game to update you on. UNC Pembroke is leading Georgia College 56-42.
Gonna have a foul on the Jags.
And that's about well, roughly under 16 minutes to go in the second half of that game.
Second foul on Tyvez. DeMarcus McVeigh at the line to shoot a pair.
And if Columbus State wants any chance to come back here, they have got to be able to sink in free throws when they're under the least amount of pressure. They've been doing a good job, but lately they've been misfiring on a couple. Now they want to try to get back into what was 100% earlier, try to reconnect on that type of accuracy from the strike.
Misses the second. All right. Tyree crosses midcourt. Gets it to Troy, who's checked in for the Jags. Pass inside was batted away and taken away by the Cougars.
Trying to go to Dean just a little too low and too slow underneath there on that bounce pass.
Gibbons drives in the lane. Dean tries to block, and Gibbons scores the basket. Bryant's got 8.
Good job of deking out Dean right there, making him jump a little earlier than the shot went up. Dean could not have any chance at rejecting the shot, so very good decision there by Horton to keep that at bay until the points were scored.
Gibbons picks up his 4th foul. We're going to have our final media timeout of the ball game. 3:23 to go. The Jags are up 78. All right, Tyree at the line now. And gets that first one to fall.
Jazz can make this a 20-point affair.
Second one does not fall. Jalen with the rebound and brings it up the court for the Cougars. Swings it right. Inside, Paulding, short. Follow-up is no good. And Raphael comes away with the basketball.
Troy standing his ground very well, even though Paulding had room over the top. Troy was not given an inch.
Jag will not be in a hurry. I'd like these 3 minutes to go by as quickly as possible. Dean backs his man up, spins on McVeigh, throws up the shot, gets it to fall.
Paulding there was Dean, since he didn't need any breathing room up against him like that, he just quickly fade, a little bit of a fade out there and create some breathing room on his own to put up the shot.
Gibbons for the left side three, good. .23 points for Dean. Again, Jags burn some time.
Columbus State would need to go on a 17-0 run here in the last 2+ to tie this ball game up.
Dean, another three. Sure. .26 for Dean. Long three taken there, no good. Raphael pulls down that rebound. Jags are clearing the bench. Sean Moss is going to check in, get some conference tournament playing time. Tyree drives down the lane, dishes off. Raphael, right-handed, no good. Fights for the rebound, out of bounds. Cougar basketball. And that's going to be it for the starters and the rest of the front line for the Jags. They will sit with about 90 seconds to go in the basketball game and a 21-point lead.
Phenomenal performance from the starting five. It's crucial here, though, that not only does it get Robert more playing time, but Alex Johnson is in as well for the Jags in trying to get him some valuable playoff experience here as well.
Ball is inside. Darren, I think, reached in, committed that foul. I'm going to make an assumption here that I have no idea whether or not it's true, but I'm going to assume with the seeding of the Jags, they will have the late game on Saturday.
Well,
but I don't know that for a fact.
First talking to our SID, he was speculating that we might have the 5:30 game.
Really?
That is the latest word.
Okay.
Things could still change,
No,
obviously.
I don't know if it changes. I just kind of assumed the highest seed would play last.
Right, but we will see come Saturday. I was kind of hoping for the last game of the night, but the 5:30 game ain't too bad either.
Terrence's quick pass out of bounds took out a couple of his teammates on the bench. But here's what we do know. Jags will advance to the semifinals of the Peach Belt Conference. Again, second in the region, 24th in the country. Darren lays it up and in. I'm sorry, that was Jared Carrier. Jared with the basket. That's what got the bench up and out.
All right, so far we know that the Jags are advancing. It looks like Young Harris with 32 seconds to go will in fact beat here in Christenberry, or excuse me, rather, my bad, Francis Marion now has retaken the lead at 91-86 with 32 seconds remaining. Looks like they will come calling here, and then USC Aiken is firmly in hand of the Lander game with 15 minutes to go in that game, 60-48. UNC Pembroke is ahead by 18 against Georgia College.
So that means the top four seeds will be here.
More than likely, that's the way it's shaping up.
Top four seeds look like they will advance and join us here for the semis on Saturday. Deloach's shot is no good. Robert pulls down that rebound. He draws the foul. We've got 7 seconds left. Robert at the line now, shooting the 1-and-1. Cougars lose the handle, fighting for the basketball. That's going to be your ball game. Jags beat the Cougars 89-65. Jags will advance to the semifinals on Saturday evening. Your stats for the ball game: Cougars were 24 of 54 for 44%. Jags were 33 of 58 for 57%. Cougars were 6 of 20 from beyond the arc. Jags were 13 of 20 from beyond the arc for 65%. Cougars 11 of 19 from the free throw line. The Jags were just 10 of 20 for 50%. DeMarcus McVeigh led the Cougars with 16. Brian Givens had 13. Chris Horton had 10, so did Jalen Thomas. Horton with 7, Deloach with 5, Paulding with 4. For the Jags, Dean Williams with 26 points, Rafael Montero with 20, Miguel had 15, Tyree with 8, Troy had 5, Sean got 3, so did Darren Lucas White, Tyvez Monroe with only 3, Aaron got 2, Robert Barlin got 2, Jared Carrier with 2. All right, so to set it up for you again, the Jags do advance. It appears as of this point, all 4 top seeds will advance to the semifinals. We've got all 4 games for you. On Saturday, we've got the women's semifinals, we've got the men's semifinals, women in the afternoon, men in the evening.
We know for certain as of now, Francis Marion will be here. As far as the other 2 games, it's still within arm's reach for the bottom seeds to take that. But right now, as you mentioned, John, it's looking like all 4, our top 4 seeds will be here. But we do know Francis Marion for certain.
Yeah, that'll be the Jags, the Pacers from USC Aiken, Francis Marion, and UNC Pembroke.
Yep.
So we'll have all the games for you on Saturday. Again, the Jags win 89-65. For Robert Ambrose, Blake Collins, I'm John Patrick. We will see you Saturday.
Welcome back to Christenberry Fieldhouse as we begin the post-game show. I'm Robert Ambrose. I'm joined by Blake Collins. The Jaguars victorious over the Cougars 89-65 in a very exciting game. Jaguars, Blake, led by just 2 at halftime, pull away with a huge run in the second half to win by 24. Nonetheless, before we go into details about that, we're going to take a look at some of the other scores from around the league. Also final, Francis Marion has defeated Young Harris 96-88. And in the other 2 games, with exactly 15 minutes to go in the second half, UNC Pembroke with a 14-point lead over Georgia College, and USC Aiken with a 12-point lead over Lander. So that's what's going on around the conference as well. The Jaguars await the winner of the UNC Pembroke Georgia College game, so we'll see what happens there. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by the star of today's game, Tyvez Monroe, and Blake will have him on the set for an interview. So that will be coming up in just a moment on the other side of this break. We invite you all to stay tuned.
We live, man. After the game, we live.
Absolutely. And you heard the voice right there of Tyvez Monroe, one of the most fabulous contributors to the Jaguars offense this season. Man, you were absolutely laser locked with threes going down. Is that something you worked on throughout the off season this season to get better?
I worked on threes my whole life.
Nice.
I've been fortunate enough to be, I think I'm at number 6 all time for three-pointers at this school.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been fortunate enough, I've just been working on my shot.
Yeah.
Ever since I started playing basketball, I fell in love with jumpers. So I'm fortunate enough to be 6 in the all-time at three-pointers. I'm going to keep working at it. We still got a long season if we want to.
Absolutely. Well, talk to me a little bit about the preparation for this game that you guys did coming into the game with Columbus State.
We played them twice, so we were prepared as far as like game plan and knowing what to do and where to be. But it really came down to who wanted it more, because at this time it's do or die. It don't matter if you win by 50, 1, 2. It don't matter. It's just about going out there, executing and winning. So I think we did a great job of that tonight, and I hope we can keep. I don't even know the last time we hosted the tournament. So this is the first time I've ever hosted a tournament. So I'm just happy all around, man. It's a great feeling.
Absolutely, man. Coming in number 1, you guys worked your tails off, and then not only that, but to see the team still up ahead at halftime, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys make any adjustments coming out of halftime to hopefully spread your wings out and further put separation between you and Columbus State?
Yeah, it was just locking in a little bit more on defense and being more in the passing lanes and helping a little bit. And on a ball screen, we stunned it, and at first we stunned it, and then we started full rotating. So that really took them out of what they wanted to do.
So let me ask you this: if you had a say-so in the game plan coming up for the tournament, what would you like to see the team work on?
Our team?
Yes.
That's hard, man. I'm not trying to sound confident, but we lighting and fire right now.
Oh,
man.
absolutely.
So if anything, I would just say we keep doing what we're doing. If anything, we didn't make a lot of free throws tonight.
Right.
So if we make our free throws, we win by probably 30.
Yeah, it would definitely be more than 20 at that point.
And it's like, basketball is a game of runs. Basketball, you never really know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So the game plan for my team, I just hope we keep playing hard, we keep staying together, keep doing the little things. That's what separated. We haven't lost since January. So that's what's separating us from a lot of people right now. We're doing the little things, getting stops, rebounding, diving on the floor, talking, stuff like that. That's what championship teams do. That's how you win.
Oh, absolutely. Communication is definitely a key. So I guess my final 2 questions here will pertain to your tenure here at Augusta University. What has the 4 years that you've been here at Augusta University, as far as one of the basketball stars, what has that meant to you?
It's meant a lot, man. When I first got here as a freshman, it was 8 of us,
Right.
8 or 7.
Right.
There's only 3 left now, so that says a lot. It's hard playing for dip.
Yeah.
It's hard. Freshman year, we lost to Lander at the tip-in in the conference tournament. Sophomore year, We won the same championship that we won this year.
Right.
We went to the NCAA tournament. We
Right.
came up short, but that was a great year for us. Junior year we was a winning team, but we didn't win anything. You know, it was a shaky year for us. And then senior year, we doing it, man. This is my best year so far, all around, on the court and off the court, keeping my body right. And I'm just happy that I can say that I worked hard every day for this. You know, I didn't leave nothing on the table.
Absolutely. So with that being said, playing under Dip for the 4 years that you've been here, what advice would you say that you've taken from Dip that you can carry on throughout your playing career if you move forward?
It's about what you do when nobody's watching, man. It's about what you do off the court. For basketball players, whatever you do off the court transfers on the court. So if you out going out drinking beer and smoking weed and staying out late and trying to be Superman off the court, it's going to translate on the court. You're not going to be able to do what you do. You know what I'm saying? So for any basketball player that's trying to have a great career, D1, D2, D3, you got to be locked in all around, because being a student athlete is hard, man. Like, it's not built for everybody, you know?
Absolutely.
So you got to be a warrior on and off the court. You got to be locked in from day one to whenever it's over.
And that's a powerful message to send to every player.
Yeah.
But from also too, with you being a part of a group of seniors that has been phenomenal through every rung here at Augusta University, from freshman on up through. I'm talking with Aaron Bird, you, and Dean Williams. What from a leadership perspective, what kind of knowledge have you guys been able to pass down to the freshmen that are coming in, like a Miguel Arnold, or a Tyree, or Robert Barlin?
The good thing about this freshman class and even the sophomores, they were ready from day one, man. They wanted to get better every day.
That's awesome.
So we didn't have to preach to them. They already knew what it was. Our job was just go out there and lead by example, and that's what we did. You know, we give them pointers and give them advice here and there, and they tell us stuff too. So it's both ways. But, like, overall, man, I'm so proud of the freshmen and the sophomores because they really stepped up. Troy hitting shots, Miguel hitting shots, you know, Rob going out there playing hard. A lot of people don't even know Hav. Raph is a great player. He's a junior, though. But Raph is a great player, man. They came in ready. They came in prepared. They came in wanting the same outcomes, the same stuff that we wanted. That's why we just won. That's why we got a banner. That's why we hosting a conference tournament. That's why we going to the NCAA tournament again. Because from day one, we came in here locked in.
Hungry.
It's 3 championships to win in this college, on this college D2 stuff. The regular season title, the conference tournament, and the NCAA tournament. We already won the conference. Now we got to win the conference tournament. After that, it's time to win the NCAA tournament. And I don't know we're going to win. That's the plan, though. We're going to prepare for it. That's all we could do is prepare and go out and play as hard as we can.
Well, that is absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your night and your day to sit with me, talk with me, and give some pointers from a player's perspective for the fans watching at home.
Yeah, no problem, man. We ain't got class tomorrow. I ain't got class tomorrow. I ain't tripping.
And it's more time to kind of prepare a little bit for what's ahead as well.
Yes, sir, man. We play Saturday, 5 o'clock.
Right.
So
5:30.
I hope 5:30. I hope everybody can come out and support, man.
It will be fun because what it's looking like now, as far as the games go, the top 4 seeds will be here.
Yeah, so I think
Francis Marion already clinched their game against Young Harris, so it's looking like it'll be the top 4.
Yeah, so us, Francis Marion, Pembroke, and USC Aiken.
Yep.
It's gonna be that's gonna be dogfights.
Oh, absolutely.
4 great games. So.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is too, on that 10 game winning streak, including tonight that you had, you guys went into Aiken, a hostile environment, and took care of business dramatically.
I mean, yeah, we lost to Aiken by 3 the first time. It's not like they blew us out. We knew what we had to go in there and take care of. So it was just about executing. It don't matter if you home or away. You just got to execute either way.
And that fundamentally for me has been one of the most amazing things about this squad in particular, the execution, the speed that you guys play with, and everything else. I mean, it's been all on fire all year round, and you guys have not relented one step.
We living in a dream right now. We living in history. Like, we making history. We living in it, watching it happen. It's crazy. I've never been on a team that hasn't lost in a whole month. We won 11 straight. Like, that's crazy. And we a young team. We are a young team.
Not even the Keyshawn years?
Nah, not even Keyshawn years. You know how great Keyshawn is.
Absolutely.
You know what he do. You know what he do. But
absolutely.
My sophomore year, me and Keyshawn, we were 24-8. That's still an overall good record. But even we better than that. So that's crazy.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you so very much. I don't want to take much more of your time. I want to let you get back to your teammates, but thank you so much for sitting here and talking with me.
Thank you, man. Keep
Absolutely,
supporting, man. 5:30 Saturday.
Absolutely.
Come on.
We will be here covering it as well.
Yes, sir.
Look for this man to put on a show. Thank you very much.
We out. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much, sir.
Have a nice night.
Have a blessed rest of your night as well. And we will be back in a minute with the wrap-up. Thank you so much, Chavez. That was awesome. That was awesome.
All right. So you can erase the interview with Dean for this one, right? That's what you were after. Okay.
Chavez.
Welcome you back here to Christenberry Fieldhouse. The Jaguars, 89-65 winners over Columbus State. And it appears as though they will take on UNC Pembroke in the semifinals on Saturday. The UNC Pembroke Braves have a 20-point lead with 6 minutes to go in their game. If they win, they will advance and take on the Jaguars Saturday night. Francis Marion victorious over Young Harris, and it looks like they're going to take on USC Aiken, assuming USC Aiken can hang on to their 18-point lead with 3:18 to go in their game. That'll set up the semifinals for you on Saturday on the men's side, and on the women's side, as Christenberry Fieldhouse this Saturday will host all the remaining games for the men's conference tournament and the women's conference tournament. And now let's take a look for the women's side. Lander defeating Francis Marion 107-70, and Clayton State defeating USC Aiken 59-44. North Georgia winning 82-51. A lot of blowouts in both the men's and women's here in the quarterfinals. North Georgia defeating Georgia College 82-51 in their game, and Flagler with a 11-point lead, 59-48, with 5 minutes and 25 seconds to go in regulation of that one to set things up on the women's side. So the women semifinals will be noon and 2:30, and the men's at 5 and 7:30. The Jaguars will play at 5 o'clock against what appears to be UNC Pembroke, barring a major collapse in their game here going on right now. And once again, I'm Robert Ambrose with Blake Collins. And Blake, we talked earlier, the Jaguars, this was a very back and forth first half. The Jaguars led by only 2 at halftime. They pull away with a huge run in the second half and win by 24.
Yeah, the defense stepped up huge for Columbus State in the first half. I mean, they single-handedly shut down Dean Williams on the offensive side outside of a couple of threes, which technically, if you're preparing for Dean, that's not something that you're looking to prepare for. He's usually on the interior, and from 17 to 15-footer, he's established from there. He is that's his wheelhouse, and that's where he lives. He'll occasionally branch out and occupy three-point land, but tonight he absolutely tore it up on fire.
Whew.
Eight of the first 9 were from three-point land for Dean. So it was a coming out party for Dean in terms of threes, and not only that, but to be able to get other people involved, like Miguel, like Tyree was involved as well. As Tavez mentioned, Raphael has been a unsilent hero on the court. You don't hear much about him as far as attention goes, but he has been a highly great contributor for the Jags. He came up very strong in the interior and in some of the passing game. The assist game worked very well for the Jags. Columbus State could not, at the tail end of it, stop penetration. They could not close the gaps like they were doing in the first half, and Augusta exploited that. They became tired. And the first half, Columbus State was just putting up ill-advised shots that they kind of corrected in the second half, but it was too late, too much, and the Jags at that point spread their wings and flew.
Yeah, and see if the Jaguars can do that again on Saturday. The Jaguars have been doing that the entire last month of February. They have not lost since the 79-76 loss on January 30th to the number 2 seed of this tournament, USC Aiken. That was a great game and a very tough loss. And Jaguars undefeated in the month of February, and also so far here in the most important month of basketball season, the month of March. And let's take a look. So the Jaguars, what looks like we're going to play UNC Pembroke on Saturday. In their most recent meeting in Pembroke, the Jaguars winning a nail-biter 72-69 on the road in that game, and the Jaguars with a 5-point loss at home to the Braves when these teams met back on January 16th. So these two teams, the games have been close. Could we see another close one on Saturday?
More than likely we will. The Braves have a strong defensive presence. They are good and they are really great at transitional offense if they get fast break opportunities, knowing where the ball is at all times. They're also pretty good at recuperating if they ever get out of sync on defense, being able to retract to guard their particular guy. They work well off of each other. It's a pretty good machine they have going over there. So it will be a tough challenge nonetheless on Saturday. But if that's the way it's going to go, and that's the way it's shaping out to, with 4 minutes to go in that game between them and Georgia College, it is going to be a good back and forth affair here at Christenberry.
They're at the under 4 timeout with the Braves leading by 20. So barring an unthinkable collapse, it will be the Braves as the Jaguars' opponent on Saturday, as we mentioned, and it's just going to be an outstanding weekend. Let's also not forget about some of the other action that went on here at this very parking lot this week already. The baseball team has won 2 games in 2 days, yesterday and today. They won today in a walk-off wild pitch in the 10th inning. The winning run scoring on the wild pitch from second. What a game for baseball that was today.
That is a rare sight to see within itself.
Yes, and the basketball caps off the day-night doubleheader with a victory here tonight to advance to Saturday. The softball team will be in town for a doubleheader on Sunday. Look forward to that one as well. That'll also go on during the championship rounds for the men and women here in basketball at Christenberry Fieldhouse on Sunday. So it'll be a busy weekend as usual for the Augusta University Athletics. And Blake, before we wrap things up, let's get some final thoughts.
Just an all-around good team. The Jags were challenged early. The defense kind of, for Columbus State, held them in check, held the Jags putting up shots that were not the best high percentage shots putting up and the most efficient. Their defense kind of had been worn down the last 5 minutes of the first half. They still stuck close, but then the second half is where the Jags really punctured through and opened up some breathing room. If you're Columbus State, your defense, you don't have any room to lay your head down as far as the defensive game plan goes. You held the Jags scores in check for the most part. Now towards the tail end, it kind of bottomed out a little bit, but at least for one half, you guys played tremendous. And then from the Jags defensive perspective, in the ability to use double teams, not very much full court press tonight from the Jags. They didn't really have to do that as much.
Not necessary at all.
No, but that was something that Columbus State did really well at times, and that's something that they have. You could tell that they've definitely worked on that. But as a send-home message to them, they don't have anything to hang their heads high on here. They played with a top-ranked team for a half, and that's really saying something as far as the Peach Belt Conference goes. Now, if you're the Jags looking into Saturday, as we touched on earlier, you guys kind of know what the Pembroke Braves have coming and will bring to the table. So from that standpoint, Saturday you might see a change up in defense from maybe implementing a little bit more of a full court press. The Jags seem to respond if they break out of it very well to try to defend coming out of that. They extremely move around well. You can see from Dean Williams and a couple of others that if they go into double teams, they can really respond and really track their man and get back in time to defend the actual play that's going on. You may see some different things outside of that. You may see some, like we've been talking about, man-to-man, some zone. I don't want to say too much zone. So we'll see what happens, but it is going to be a really intriguing game come Saturday.
Yes, it will be. It'll be one of 4 intriguing games as far as I'm concerned Saturday, and can't wait to bring all 4 of them for you. We'll have all the action for you here on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. Once again, the final score from here at Christenberry Fieldhouse, the Jaguars victorious over Columbus State, 89-65. This has been a special presentation of the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. For Blake Collins, I'm Robert Ambrose signing off. Good night, everybody.